This man was spoon-fed from a child the Bible and the Constitution. He knows the cornerstone and where it needs to be pointed. It's the cornerstone and where it needs to be pointed. It's the cornerstone and where it needs to be pointed. This is George Washington's compass. It's the only compass he ever owned. He was a surveyor. So every battle he was ever at, everything he ever did. And Ted, I want you to hold this and put your finger right here. If you hold it there, see if you can feel, you feel the thumbprint? I'm convinced it's where Washington, as he was thinking, did this. And I took that and I put it in my pocket. As you would see, my hand is in the pocket, and I am rubbing that compass, saying, stay true, stay true. I'm taking a very big risk here and gamble, but this is how much I believe in Ted Cruz. I'd like you to hold on to that as you're going through and people are slinging mud, to make sure that your compass is square, that your compass is square, that your compass is square, and that you stay true to the values that I know you have.
Star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the
You wanted the bill to pass.
Of course I wanted the bill to pass, my amendment to pass. What my amendment did is take citizenship off the table, but it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that I supported the other aspects of the bill.
I want immigration reform to pass, and that allows those who are here illegally to come in out of the shadows.
That amendment would have allowed undocumented immigrants to remain in the U.S. permanently and obtain legal status. So how do you square that circle?
Actually, Brett, it wouldn't have.
Dr. Carson, on the day of the Iowa caucuses, the Cruz campaign sent out messages and voicemails saying, quote, breaking news, Dr. Ben Carson will be planning to suspend his campaign following tonight's caucuses. Please inform any Carson caucus goers of this news. But as we can all see, you're still standing here tonight. Late this week, your campaign sent this email, quote, "This kind of deceitful behavior is why the American people don't trust politicians. If Senator Cruz does not act, then he clearly represents D.C. values." What kind of action do you think Senator Cruz should take?
Well, you know, when I wasn't introduced number 2, as was the plan, I thought maybe he thought I already had dropped out. But I will say, I will say that I was very disappointed that members of his team thought so little of me, that they thought that after having hundreds, if not thousands of volunteers and college students who sacrificed their time and were dedicated to the cause, one even died, to think that I would just walk away 10 minutes before the caucus and say, forget about you guys. I mean, who would do something like that? And to assume that someone would, what does that tell you? So, unfortunately, it did happen. It gives us a very good example of certain types of Washington ethics. Washington ethics basically says, if it's legal, you do what you need to do in order to win.
Senator Cruz, Dr. Carson, thank you. Senator Cruz, you have said that Dr. Carson and his wife have become friends of yours. I'm curious why you didn't call ahead of time to either the doctor or his wife, or have your campaign check in with the other campaign before sending out those messages?
Ben is a good and honorable man, and Ben and Candy have become friends. When this transpired, I apologized to him then, and I do so now. Ben, I'm sorry. Let me tell you the facts of what occurred for those who are interested in knowing. On Monday night, about 6:30 p.m., CNN reported that Ben was not going from Iowa to New Hampshire or South Carolina. Rather, he was, quote, taking a break from campaigning. They reported that on television. CNN's political anchors, Jake Tapper and Dana Bash and Wolf Blitzer, said it was highly unusual and highly significant. My political team saw CNN's report breaking news, and they forwarded that news to our volunteers. It was being covered on live television. I knew nothing about this. A couple hours later, I found out about it. I was told that Ben was unhappy. I reached him the next day and apologized. He asked me then, he said, "Ted, would you make this apology in public?" I said, "Yes, I will." And I did so. I regret that subsequently CNN reported on that. They didn't correct that story until 9:15 that night. So from 6:30 p.m. to 9:15, that's what CNN was reporting.
In fact, the timeline indicates that that initial tweet from CNN was followed by another one within 1 minute that clarified that I was not dropping out. And everybody can see what happened, and you can make your own judgment.
Dr. Carson, thank you. Thank you.
That was a news story CNN had posted. And our political team passed it on to our supporters. It was breaking news that was relevant. Now, subsequently, the Carson campaign put out another statement saying that he was not, in fact, suspending his campaign. And I apologize to Ben for our team not passing on their subsequent clarification.
Well, it started with a series of tweets from our own CNN reporter, Chris Moody, all completely factually accurate, about what the Carson campaign was doing and that Ben Carson was going back home. And we can actually read those tweets for you, I think. But effectively what he says is Carson won't go to New Hampshire, South Carolina, but instead will head home to Florida for some R&R. He'll be in D.C. Thursday for the National Prayer Breakfast. Next tweet. Ben Carson's campaign tells me he plans to stay in the race beyond Iowa, no matter how the results are tonight. And then one more an hour later. Folks, Ben Carson is just making a brief stop at home in Florida tonight, and his campaign says he'll be back on the campaign trail by Wednesday. Obviously nothing in the reporting there that says that Ben Carson is dropping out of the race or has any intention even to make an announcement.
Right, and even as you laid it out, right, he had a tweet, he said he plans on staying in the race no matter what the results are. What is CNN saying now? I mean...
Well, so in the interim, of course, the Ted Cruz campaign comes out with its statement, which sends a message to its supporters basically indicating a major announcement is coming, Carson's getting off the campaign trail, effectively telling them he's going to be dropping out of the race. Not the case. And now the statement from CNN. Senator Cruz's claims about CNN are false. At no point did the network indicate Dr. Carson would suspend his campaign. Our correspondent reported the information provided to him by the Carson campaign. Dr. Carson's staff informed CNN that he would return home to take a, quote, deep breath before resuming his activities on the campaign trail. That information was reported accurately by CNN across TV and digital.
So you have spoken to the Cruz campaign, and we just heard Ted Cruz today, right, saying, that he was right, then subsequently was a clarification, which was not true, right? That there was always consistency in the reporting. So what is the Cruz campaign now saying to you?
I ran into Rick Tyler, his campaign manager here in Manchester, and they're continuing to stand by it. They're saying, look, we didn't do anything wrong. We took what CNN reported, and we simply put it out there. We never suggested that he was going to be getting out of the campaign. But of course, if you go back and you look at what the Cruz campaign sent out to its supporters, it was very much suggesting that Carson was coming off the campaign trail, was going to make an announcement, every indication that he was going to be dropping out of the race, which of course is not the case.
How, in any situation, could the Cruz campaign justify an email which it put out on the back of that saying, breaking news, I will read that so our viewers know it. The press is reporting Dr. Ben Carson is taking time off from the campaign trail after Iowa and making a big announcement next week. Please inform Carson caucus goers of this news and urge them to caucus for Cruz. How could that be acceptable in any situation?
Aspiration. Is that like sweat on my butt? No. Oh, I see. What you want me to do, what I want to do in life. Well, my aspiration is to, I don't know, be in a teen tit film like that guy who played Horatio. You know, he was in Malibu Bikini Beach Shop. Well, other than that, take over the world domination, rule everything, rich, powerful, that sort of stuff.